Donna Prather that we have to speak with us today. She is the new Recreation Director. She came to us in December to take over as the Recreation Director position. She's been working in the recreation field for many years and in many areas of recreation. She's been enjoying getting to know the residents, the recreation participants in the town of East Longmeadow. She came to us from Indiana, and she went to Purdue. She became familiar with the area. Several summers, I believe, she worked at a summer camp up in Tallinn, so she was familiar with the area. And now we're very happy to have her here in East Longmeadow, so welcome.
Thanks for having me. I am really enjoying getting to know everyone. So on December 7th, I rolled in town with a boxcar pulling my Jeep behind me with my dog in the bucket seat that bounced up and down. And then on December 11th, I started with the rec department. And so far, I've been really, really happy to meet a lot of friendly people. In fact, last night I was at a CPC meeting, and I introduced myself to a gentleman, and he said, "Well, what are you doing for lunch tomorrow?" This town is really friendly. Turns out it was Bill, and he knew I was coming. So, but anyway, it's been nice getting to know people, and it's good to be back in New England. I did fall in love with New England, Indiana. I grew up there. It's a great state. But it's very hard to find an ocean within a 2 hours drive. And I really like the ocean. So it's good to be back. One of the first things I wanted to introduce to you, I know it's new to me, so if I apologize if you already know, but the Heritage Park Plan. A couple years ago, the CPC funded a study to do a master plan for the Heritage Park. And what came of it is some of the plans that I have behind us. And if you're familiar with master plans, or my experience with master plans, that people either get really excited and get disappointed because they tend to be a pipe dream to a certain extent, or they get really angry that, they just have bulldozers moving in and stripping away things, and things don't happen at all. So what we at the Rec Department and the Recreation Commission are going to try to do is to educate the town of East Longmeadow of what this plan is and what the possibilities are, and also just get more input from the community to see what they would like to see become these plans. Because again, I'm new, but a lot of people in East Longmeadow aren't aware that this plan even took place and it's in existence. So that's our job, just to educate people, to let them know that it's there. One of the things that I'm learning also about Heritage Park as I venture around town is that people are like, we don't want anything to do with Heritage Park. It pulls the wrong people. There's people from another city or town that comes here, and last night at the meeting I learned there's homeless at Heritage Park, and so I was told that we might get some pushback about trying to do new things there, which my thought is what do you want to do with Heritage Park? If you don't want it to be a place where unsavory elements are, what do you want to do? So that would be my question when I come across people that say we don't want to move forward on a Heritage Park plan. The best way, in my experience, is if you have a situation like that, is to bring in positive elements, and then the unpositive elements will have to find somewhere else to go. And that's where the Rec Commission and the department and the town would hope would happen to Heritage Park. One of the first things that we have that we're looking towards is working with the CPC in working on the pond. If you notice, well, of course you guys go by it all the time. It floods, and when we did get ice this winter, it's hard to get down into it if you're a skater. There was a young gal this winter that went to get on the ice, and because it's so hard, she fell and actually received a concussion in the back of her head. So, there's a lot of improvements that we can do with that. When the study came out, the improvements for the retention wall for the pond was looking around $300,000. So now it's our job as the commission is to get get some quotes and get them to the CPC to see where we are now, because that was a couple years ago, and I'm sure it's probably a little bit more. But again, just take a look at some of the photos, and then just encourage people then along your way to say, hey, this is out there. Stop by the rec department, come to a commission meeting if you want to find more about the plan. The other thing that I'm looking at as a newbie is Brown Park, and see what we've got there. The recreation department is taking over the administrative piece of the gardens. So this is a plug if you need a garden, $30 for residents. We're going to try to get the gardens back and up and running. My understanding is that they've decreased over the years. It was big in the beginning, and they had so many plots, and then last year it was kind of down to 16, 17 plots and 3 plots. Folks didn't take care of them. So I'd like to see the gardens flourish again. I'm really impressed that there is a group at Brown Farm Gardens that actually harvest and they donate the food to the Center on Aging on North Main Street. Pounds and pounds of food. So that was a great thing to learn. Mark your calendars. Community Improvement Day, May 5th. The Recreation Commission, we're working with DPW to find a park that needs some tender loving care. And so we can just do some sweat equity, get out on a Saturday morning and see what we can do. I know Peter doesn't like the wind, but I was saying earlier that the wind is good for fields because we have a lot of kids and a lot of coaches that are ready to get out on the fields, and they're a little squishy right now. The other thing that I'm doing at the rec department is getting to know the volunteers and the youth sports. I'm just really impressed with the number of youth sports volunteers that we have. This winter, on every night of the week, you could find in some school a basketball or some type of activity going on from the rec department. There weren't any rec department staff there. It was all volunteers. So it's very impressive that you can serve that many children in East Longmeadow by volunteers alone. As spring hits, I'm also gearing up to hire staff for Pine Knoll, and we're still taking applications for lifeguards, camp counselors, head counselors, supervisors. I start today at 2:30. We're going to start trying to get young people in and see if we can get some kids working this summer. There are going to be some changes at Pine Knoll this summer. We're going to do really strict, we are going to be strict on the pre-registration. So it's not going to be a situation where parents can come and drop the kids off on a Monday morning and say we'll be back later that day. We'll need to pre-register. We'll need health forms and emergency contact forms and all that good stuff that when I'm in care of a child, I want to know what to do if something happens. We're going to break down with age groups and age-appropriate groups. We're also revamping the CIT program. All the CITs are going to be limited spots, and they will need to fill out an application and interview for that. I want to make this an experience for counselors in training to actually learn to be a counselor in training and to get some good leadership skills from that. I'm also in search of an aquatic manager. That's a position I need to fill. So if anyone knows of someone that's familiar with pump brooms and likes to schedule lifeguards and supervise lifeguards, let me know. One of the things that we've done, it's been a slow start. I mean, there's lots to do, but we did add a drop-in co-ed basketball activity that started this winter that was very popular, and that's still going on. One of the things that I'm hearing is that adults in East Longmeadow would like more sports and activities that they can participate in. So that's something we're being very conscious in as we plan for programs in the future. We're also putting a program evaluation in place. One of the things that I am from, back home is that every time we had a program in, we had program evaluations, whether it was a 2-week session on a swim lesson or whether it was, an 8-week karate class. There were always evaluations. And I know that some of the feedback I received was, do you really want to know what they're going to say? And it's just like, yes, I do want to know what they're going to say. Because I feel like chances are they're going to be really good, because people that don't like what's happening are usually the ones that you hear from regularly. It's the ones that are happy and like what you have that aren't talking to you. So I want both. I want a mix of, what's working for the residents and what's not working for the residents. The other piece that I'm trying to, this has already happened. We've had Eagle Scouts in the past with East Longmeadow, but I'm also trying to keep that partnership going and work with the Eagle Scouts. There is one right now that's in the works of doing birdhouses at Brown Farm, and I've already learned something, that birds won't nest in the same house twice. So he's going the disposable route. So once they nest, then the houses will be taken down and replaced with houses for new birds. So that's not 20 minutes. But that's where I am. I do want to leave you with our mission just before, if you have any questions for me. And the mission for the East Longmeadow Recreation is we connect with generations of residents by providing enriching programs and experiences that inspire healthier living, increase social engagement, and love for our community. Thanks for having me.
We have plenty of time for questions.
Okay.
I'd like to make a couple of comments. I am on the CPC Community Preservation Committee. And I do want to say that what Donna is showing up there, we actually spent a good deal of we spent $25,000 on the study. And a lot of good information came out of it. We are looking at, if we're going to do it, we may be spending as much as $1 million. It's going to be over a 3-year period, though, three cycle period to do it. And it will do some, enhancements, beautification at Heritage Park. But also, as Donna said, I've had experience of this when in Springfield with the rail trail. There's a lot of opposition to the rail trail there, and people, you're going to get undesirables there. Well, when you take something, and part of what we talked about was at Heritage Park up in the back, we're going to do some walking trails. When you take and do some major construction, you neaten it up, you clean it up, and you put items up there that families will want to do, hiking trails and so on. You don't find a lot of the problems that people are complaining about. So it could be a very, very good program for the town.
Thanks.
Now, does the program include doing something about the geese around the pond, which is a real problem?
It is a real problem. And one of the, Lindsay, who works in the office with us, did some research on that and found out that what's been effective in other towns or areas is that if you construct on a pole an image that looks like a coyote and it swirls in the wind, that if you place them at different locations and keep rotating, it'll train the geese to move away. And so that is on the list that I presented to a couple Eagle Scout candidates, that maybe they would want to do that with us. But we're looking at going that route. It would be easy for coaches when they come in to easily pull those, put them in another spot so we could keep them rotating, but to see what that worked. But that's the immediate thing that we're looking at versus chemicals or any other type of thing. Yeah. And I want to back up. I did forget a card. One of the things that the rec department would like to see is, with working with the Rotary Club, is that I know that you have concerts in the summers, and we would like to propose that maybe prior to a concert, if we had a family gathering where we could have some type of entertainment, whether it's even as easy as games and face painting, or anything that we can do to draw the kids and the families to the concerts, maybe wear the kids out prior to the concerts. And so we could just tag team on something like that is one of the things that we were talking about in the rec department and rec commission, of working with the Rotary Club on that piece. Sorry I missed that. A little nervous. Got to work on my public speaking.
More questions? Go ahead.
How old do you allow the CITs to do?
We are going into 8th, 9th, and 10th this year. And it's going to be different because we're also going to be taking 8th graders as campers if they want to do that.
I don't need to be naive, but what is a CIT?
Oh, it's a counselor in training.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
On the flooding, that can be controlled because we've got gates that But you want to keep the level high, because now it's down to a reasonable level, you know, to spring it, all these things, the notes, you know, the water flows in there, the level goes up, but just for a short time.
Sure. Yeah. I briefly talked to Bruce about that, and he's trying to help me learn about the gates. And I talked to Tom Anderson, and he's helping me learn how that works with the levels.
Any more questions? Thank you very much.
Oh,
Oh, sorry. Oh,
That's
no,
okay.
no, go
I can
ahead.
ask-
No, go.
I just was wondering if you are going to still have the open community swim at Pine Hole,
Yes, definitely.
and when are signups? You know, roughly?
For the membership piece,
Yes.
I believe we're ready now for memberships. I've been sticking my head in the camp piece a little heavy, but
Yeah, I saw the camp.
Okay.
piece up. I'll go and look for
Okay.
the other piece.
all right. And if it's not, I'll make sure that we get that up really soon. So I do have also some sheets that go along with the drawings. If you'd like to look at afterwards, it tells exactly what the estimated cost at the time of the study that attributes to each piece here. That'd be interesting for you. Certainly look at that. I also have the one and only copy, and I'm told I can't lose it, of the study that was done. But it's always available at the rec department also, if you want to browse through that and maybe visit it later. Thanks.
Stay here for 1 minute. As you all know, we will be donating a book to the East Long Meadow Public Library, the children's section, and Donna has chosen the book, Are You Ready to Play Outside? An Elephant and Piggy, book by Mo Willens. And she thought it would be pretty appropriate because she does a lot outside. So this is for you, a little certificate, and that book will be in the library come July or so.
Great.
Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.